Ladies, let me tell you something about that text. What are we? That right there is one of the most dangerous messages a woman can send to a man. Not because it's a bad question, it's a necessary question at some point. But it's about timing, intent, and understanding who's supposed to be leading what. When a woman texts a man, "What are we?" what she's really saying is, I need you to tell me what this relationship is because I'm unsure and I want clarity. But here's the real truth. If you have to ask, you already know. See, ladies, a man knows exactly what he wants. When a man sees a woman he truly values, he already has a plan. A real man is not sitting around confused about whether he wants a relationship, whether he wants commitment, whether he wants to build something long term. If you have to fish for a title or beg for definition, then you've already stepped out of your power and handed him the pen to write your story. And let me tell you, if you let a man write the story of your relationship before he's earned the right, you're going to end up with a chapter you don't like. When a man wants you, he makes that known, not just with words. Words are cheap, but with action. If he's still talking about, I'm just going with the flow, or let's see where this goes, but it's been 3, 4, 6 months, girl, he knows where it's going, and it's going exactly where he planned. Nowhere. Don't get caught up thinking you're the one exception. I know that sounds harsh, but I'm trying to protect you. I've seen too many women waste years of their life waiting for a man to finally decide if she's worth committing to, when really he made that decision a long time ago. He just didn't have the heart or the character to tell her the truth. Now, I understand why women ask that question. You're emotionally invested, you've been spending time with him, maybe you're doing a couple things, you feel that connection. And you don't want to waste your time. That's fair. But here's the play. Instead of asking, what are we, you set the standard before you even get that deep early on. That means you walk into a situation already knowing what you want, and you communicate that from the beginning. You say, I'm not dating for fun, I'm dating for purpose. You don't have to say it in a harsh way, but be clear. Men respect clarity. They may not like it if they're not serious, but they'll respect it. And the ones who can't meet your standard, they'll fall off. And that's a blessing, because now you're not wasting time with someone who was never trying to build something real in the first place. Let me tell you how a man's mind works when he sees a woman walking in her standards. Not her emotions, not her fear of being alone, not her desperation, but her God-given value. That man steps up. If he's real, he steps into position. Because a real man wants a woman who knows what she's worth. But when you send a text like, what are we, you sound unsure. You sound like you've been waiting on him to lead, but he's been sitting down this whole time. Ladies, you don't ask a man to define something he didn't initiate. That's not how it works. If he's not showing you with his effort, his consistency, and his plans that you're his woman, then chances are you're not. I know that's tough to hear, but better to face the truth now than to keep pretending you're in something that only exists in your imagination. I always say, women are the gatekeepers. You set the tone, you determine the pace, you decide what you allow. But once you give away your power by waiting on him to decide if you're official, or by texting him late at night, pouring your heart out, hoping for a response that will ease your anxiety, you've already handed over your self-respect in exchange for maybe a title. And you don't do that. You don't negotiate your peace of mind for someone else's indecision. You want a relationship, say that up front. You want commitment, set the standard. And then watch how he moves, watch what he invests. And if he ain't moving in that direction, you don't beg, you bounce. Because your life is not a waiting room. You're not sitting around like a contestant hoping to be picked. You're the prize. You don't ask a man what you are to him. You let him show you, and if he doesn't, that silence is your answer. It all comes down to this. A man knows what he wants. If he hasn't made it clear that you're his, then either he's not ready or he's not interested. And neither one is your burden to carry. So keep your standards, keep your peace, and stop sending texts that give away your power. Because the right man won't leave you wondering. Now let's talk about this one right here. Because this text, "Why didn't you text me back?" is one of the quickest ways to shift the dynamic between you and a man in a direction you don't want. When a man sees that message on his phone, what you think you're doing is expressing that you feel ignored or hurt. What he sees is pressure. What he hears is insecurity. What he feels is, now I gotta explain myself like I'm in trouble. You see the difference? Let me tell you something about men. A real man responds to respect, not demands. When you come at him with, "Why didn't you text me back?" what you're doing without realizing it is putting him in a defensive position. You've just made the assumption that your time, your energy, your attention, and your expectation should automatically be his priority. And listen, maybe they should be, but only if you're already in something committed, exclusive, and mutual. If not, you just gave him control over your emotions, and most of the time, he didn't even ask for that. I want you to understand this. A man's silence speaks volumes. If he's not texting you back, he's already said something. Sometimes silence is the clearest answer you're ever going to get. You don't have to chase clarity when someone is showing you where you stand. And ladies, if you constantly find yourself checking your phone, rereading old messages, wondering why it's been hours or even days since he responded, you're not in a relationship. You're in a guessing game. And that's not where queens belong. You think if you ask him why he didn't text you back, he'll say, "Oh, my bad, I forgot," or "I was just so busy." And maybe sometimes that's true. But let me ask you something. When a man really wants to talk to you, when he's genuinely interested, truly invested, does he ever forget to respond? No, he doesn't. Because people make time for what they care about. They prioritize what matters to them. If he's really into you, you won't have to remind him to communicate. You won't have to prompt him to care. He'll already be doing that. You're not supposed to be the one pulling all the weight just to stay in touch. That ain't sexy. That ain't balance. And that definitely ain't the energy of a woman who knows her worth. When you send, "Why didn't you text me back?" what you're really saying, even if you don't mean to, is, "I need your attention to feel okay." You're handing over your emotional thermostat to someone who might not even be thinking about the weather. And I don't say that to hurt you, I say it to wake you up. Let me paint this for you. You're sitting there, phone in hand. Maybe you've sent 1, 2, even 3 texts, and he's left you on read. You're getting more and more anxious. Your friends are telling you, "Girl, just say something." And so you do. You send that dreaded message, "Why didn't you text me back?" And now the ball's in his court. He knows you're waiting. He knows he has the power. And trust me, when a man realizes that, one of 2 things will happen. He'll either manipulate it to keep you hanging on without committing, or he'll pull away completely because now he sees you're too available, too eager, too easy to rattle. Here's the better move. Don't ask why he didn't text back. Notice it, take note of it, and then move accordingly. If he's not showing up, stop showing up. If he's inconsistent, don't keep being consistent. If he disappears for days and comes back like nothing happened, don't reward that behavior by responding immediately like he's done nothing wrong. You teach people how to treat you by what you allow. That's a fact. A man who sees that you respect yourself, that you don't chase, that you're not desperate for attention, that man has a decision to make. He either levels up or he moves on. Either way, you win. And let me tell you, Men respect a woman who doesn't explain her silence. You don't have to announce your standards. You just enforce them. You don't have to argue or plead or write paragraphs trying to prove why you deserve a simple response. That man knows, trust me. He knows. He knows the kind of woman you are. He knows the effort you've been putting in. And if he still chooses to ignore you, that's not your cue to ask him why. That's your cue to reevaluate his place in your life. Because here's the truth. A woman who values your time doesn't chase explanations. She makes decisions. If a man leaves you wondering, that's not a man who deserves access to your heart, your energy, or your future. Stop texting people who make you question your worth. Start giving your time to people who value it. A man who really wants you doesn't leave you hanging. He makes sure you know where you stand. So the next time you're tempted to send that message, why didn't you text me back? I want you to pause, breathe, and remember who you are. You're not asking for attention, you're deciding who gets it. Now let me talk to you about this text right here. I miss you. Do you miss me? Oh, Lord. That one can really mess up your game if you're not careful. I get it. I really do. When you're feeling lonely, when you've been thinking about a man and you just want to hear that he's feeling the same way, you want to feel special, you want to feel wanted, you want to feel like you're on his mind. But here's the thing, when you send a text like that, you're putting your emotional security in his hands and you're asking him to give you permission to feel loved. And that, my sister, is a dangerous place to be. See, I miss you, do you miss me? Sounds innocent, it sounds sweet, like you're just expressing your feelings. But really, it's a test. It's a way of fishing for reassurance. And when a man gets that, what he often hears is, are you thinking about me? Do I have a place in your heart? And here's the problem. When you make your worth dependent on someone else's feelings or responses, you give away your power. You become needy, and needy is not attractive. It's a warning sign to a man that you're not confident, you're not whole, and you're desperate for validation. Let me break it down for you. A man who's interested in you, who really cares about you, doesn't need you to ask if he misses you. He'll show it. He'll call you out of the blue just to say hello. He'll send a message because he's thinking about you. He'll make time to be with you. And he won't have to be prompted or reminded. When he's really in it, you won't be the one doing all the work to keep the connection alive. When you send a text like, I miss you, do you miss me? You're putting the ball in his court, asking him to validate your feelings, and sometimes he's just not feeling it. Or maybe he's not sure, or maybe he's just not that into you. And that's okay. But here's the hard truth. If he doesn't miss you the way you miss him, you don't want to be the one reminding him to care. Because love and affection should be natural, they should be mutual, and they should be freely given, not begged for. Needing someone to say, I miss you back is a trap. It's a trap that makes you vulnerable to disappointment. Because when the answer isn't what you want, it leaves you feeling rejected and hurt. But that pain is often worse because you set yourself up for it by asking the question. You opened the door for that rejection instead of waiting to see if it shows up on its own. A woman who's secure in herself doesn't need to ask if she's missed. She knows her worth, and she knows that the right man will show her with actions, not words. She waits for the natural flow of affection. She doesn't manufacture it or seek it out desperately. Because when you're secure, when you're whole, when you have a life full of joy and purpose, you don't have to chase someone else's feelings. You just let the right ones come to you. And let me tell you something else. When you send texts like, I miss you, do you miss me? You risk sounding needy and insecure. And ladies, there's nothing less attractive than insecurity. Men want a woman who has her own life, her own confidence, and her own rhythm. They want a woman who's not waiting by the phone hoping for a message. Because when you're waiting, you're losing. You're letting your happiness depend on someone else's timing. And that's no way to live. I know sometimes the loneliness hits hard. I know sometimes you just want to hear those words, I miss you. But don't make those words your emotional paycheck. Don't let someone else's feelings be the foundation of your self-worth. Because you deserve to feel loved without having to ask for it. You deserve to be cherished without having to beg for attention. If a man really misses you, he'll let you know. He'll find ways to show it, whether it's a call, a message, or showing up in person. You don't have to chase it down. You don't have to text it out like you're fishing for a compliment. That's not love, that's neediness. And let me tell you, neediness doesn't build a foundation, it builds walls. So the next time you're tempted to send that text, I miss you, do you miss me? I want you to stop and think. Ask yourself, why do I feel the need to ask this? Am I secure enough in myself to wait? And see if he shows me how he feels without me having to ask. Because when you're secure, you don't have to ask. The right man will tell you without you having to say a word. Remember, love isn't a test you give. It's a feeling you experience naturally. And if you're constantly testing someone's feelings, you're not building love, you're building doubt. And doubt will kill a relationship faster than anything. So hold on to your dignity. Hold on to your confidence. And don't send that text asking if he misses you. Because when a man truly values you, he won't let you wonder. He'll make sure you know. Now listen, this one right here. I saw you liked her picture. It's a whole other level of trouble. When you type those words and send them, what you're really saying is, I'm watching you and I'm keeping score. And while that might feel like you're standing your ground, what you're actually doing is inviting drama into your peace of mind. You're setting yourself up to feel insecure, jealous, and small. And none of that ever helps a woman who's trying to build something real and strong. Look, I understand the temptation. Social media has made it too easy to keep tabs on every move a man makes, every like he gives, every comment he leaves. It's like having a 24/7 front row seat to what could be trouble. And when you see a man liking pictures of other women, especially women you might feel threatened by, it stings, it cuts deep. But that doesn't mean you have to call him out or drag him with a text. Because when you do, you're telling him you're watching, you're jealous, and you're worried, and all of those feelings push a man away faster than you can blink. Now let me break this down for you from a man's perspective. When a man's phone lights up with a text like, I saw you liked her picture, what does he think? He thinks she's insecure, she's keeping tabs, she's not trusting me. And guess what? That's a big red flag. Because trust is the foundation of any relationship worth having. When you start policing a man's social media, you're showing a lack of trust, and that lack of trust breeds resentment. It's like you're trying to put him in a cage instead of letting him be free to love you fully. Let me be clear. Social media is a tricky world. It's designed to pull you in, to make you compare yourself to others, to doubt your place in a man's life. But here's the truth. What a man likes on Instagram or Facebook is not the measure of your worth. Those likes don't mean as much as you think. They're often meaningless, automatic, or just a way to keep connections alive in a casual way. They don't define his feelings for you or his intent. When you start sending texts accusing him or pointing out these likes, you're wasting your time and energy on something that probably doesn't matter. Instead, You're giving him the power to mess with your mind. You're letting a little double tap on a picture turn into a full-blown crisis in your heart. And that's not what a queen does. A queen stays above that petty stuff. What you want is a man who respects you enough not to put you in that position in the first place. You want a man who chooses you in real life, not just on social media. You want a man who makes you feel secure and confident, not jealous and worried. And that kind of man, he's not concerned about likes or comments. He's concerned about you, about your relationship, about the connection you share offline. Now, this doesn't mean you ignore things that feel off or that you let a man disrespect you. If you see a pattern of behavior that hurts you or makes you uncomfortable, that's something to address face-to-face or in a serious conversation, not through a passive-aggressive text. Confrontation over text is like trying to have a heart-to-heart in a crowded room full of noise. It rarely works and usually just makes things worse. Here's a better way to handle it. Focus on what you bring to the table. Build your confidence so strong that a man's likes on social media don't shake your peace. Work on your self-worth so solid that you don't have to police his every move. Invest your time in growing yourself, your happiness, your goals, because a woman who's busy building her life doesn't have time for petty drama. And listen, if a man really cares, he won't let a little double tap on a picture become a wedge between you. He'll make sure you feel valued and loved every day. He'll keep his priorities straight, and he won't give you reasons to doubt him. If he does, there's a whole other conversation about respect and boundaries, but that conversation deserves to happen with maturity and honesty, not with jealousy texts. So the next time you feel the urge to send, "I saw you liked her picture," I want you to take a deep breath and ask yourself what you're really trying to say. Are you trying to protect yourself, or are you trying to control him? Because there's a big difference. Protecting yourself means setting healthy boundaries and asking for respect. Controlling him means trying to cage his freedom, and that never works out well. Remember, a relationship built on trust, respect, and confidence is stronger than any social media like. Don't let a little blue heart or thumbs up shake your peace. Keep your head high and your standards higher, because the right man will never make you question your value over a picture on a screen. That's the real talk.